Cyberbullying is when an individual uses the internet to pester or threaten another person. An email message with a false form address is a frequent way to get to a person without recognizing the sender. An anonymous blog remains the writer's personality, undisclosed, and lets the blogger to create hurtful comments about someone else. On the other hand, in Star Online itself, in the news dated 11th of April 2017, it is discovered that there were 1,524 cyberbullying cases within these past 5 years' times that have been recorded. This news also stated that Digitalicom, Sdn Bhd and Telenor Group showed that about half students confessed that cyberbullying happened to them.
Cyberbullying எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் இன்டர்நெட் அண்ட் சோஷியல் லைஃப்பில் ஃபேஸ்புக், இன்ஸ்டாகிராம் அண்ட் வாட்ஸ்அப்பில் வந்து ஹராஸ் பண்ணுறது, சம் ஆஃப் த டைம் சீட் பண்ணுறாங்க கேர்ள்ஸ் எல்லாம். பிகாஸ் எப்படி சீட் பண்ணுறாங்கன்னா, லவ் பண்ணுறேன்னு சொல்லி அந்த மாதிரிலாம் சீட் பண்ணுறாங்க. எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச சில பேர் வந்துட்டு கேர்ள் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ்ட்டு லவ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி காசு இதெல்லாம் வந்து எடுத்துகிட்டு ஓடிடுறாங்க. இதுதான் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying macam more lebih kepada orang yang bully dalam, tapi bukan secara fizikal, tapi more to mental.
எதுவும் தெரியாது.
Daripada dulu sampai sekarang memang tak tahu.
எனக்கு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இருந்ததில்லை. பட் என்னோடய ஃப்ரெண்ட் இருக்காங்க. அவங்க வந்து ஃபேஸ்புக் வழியாக ஒருத்தவங்க கூட சேட் பண்ணி லவ் பண்ணாங்க. அவங்க ரொம்ப பிலீவ் பண்ணாங்க அந்த பர்சனை. பட் அவங்க வந்து சீட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க அவங்கள. அவங்களோட காசு இதெல்லாம் ஏமாற்றி வாங்கி அதுக்கப்புறம் அவங்க என்ன ஆனாங்கன்னே தெரியல. என்னோடய ஃப்ரெண்டை வந்து அது ரொம்ப இஃபெக்ட் பண்ணிச்சு. எனக்கா அவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப நம்பினாங்க அந்த பர்சனை. பட் அவங்க ஏமாற்றிட்டாங்கன்றது அவங்களால ஏற்றுக்கவே முடியல. அவங்க அந்த இதுலேருந்து வெளியே வர்றதுக்கே ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டாங்க. பட் அவங்களோட பேரண்ட்ஸ் அவங்க தான் வந்து சப்போர்ட் பண்ணி அவங்கள அதுலேருந்து வெளியே கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. இப்போது ஓகேவாக இருக்காங்க அவங்க. இப்போதைக்கு அவங்க வந்து அவங்க ரொம்ப இஃபெக்ட் ஆனதுனால அவங்க யாரையும் நம்பக்கூடாது அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இதில் இருக்காங்க.
Sebenarnya ada daripada darjah 4. Darjah 4 biasalah kita ada akaun Facebook, ada akaun macam mana. Tapi masa darjah 4 tu zaman Facebook kan. So bila zaman Facebook tu, bila kita post gambar je mesti ada orang kawan-kawan apa semua komen benda buruk-buruk, cakap tak lawa, tak gemuk, buat apa nak post, just bodoh apa semua. Sekarang pun sampai sekarang ada orang peli-peli. Tapi kadang-kadang kita as a human being, kebanyakan orang akan fikir as a gurauan. Tapi ikutkan orang yang kena bully tu sendiri pun sebenarnya adalah juga rasa sentap and so on.
Cyberbullying often leads to anxiety, depression, and other non-identified mental illness. For what we have stated in the past decades, it has been an issue throughout the human history that most of us are not aware about their effect to our life.
The cyber law in Malaysia was prepared a long time ago. It was part of the, if you look at the history of Malaysian cyber policy, we have the for a beginning at the beginning of the Malaysian multimedia policy, the the government introduced seven flagship programs, and one of the uh, needs at that point of time was to prepare cyber law, such as cybercrime and some other policies and legislation relating to cyber and multimedia flagship programs. But that was way back in 1998, 1999. And I think the cyberspace has taken so much development in the last 10 years or so, more than 10, 20 years. So what happened, I think the law was designed to address the concerns at the point of time, 20 years ago. So now we have to revisit the law 20 years later, whether the Cybercrime Act and all other, the Digital Signature Act and all those legislations are still relevant. And if they are relevant, whether that needs to be updated to deal with certain issues. For example, we do not have enough policy on cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
No one knows what is the attitude of the central bank on cryptocurrency. So that's one example of the challenges and how to deal with the multimedia, the Facebook, social media communication through WhatsApp and all those stuff.
In Malaysia, there are a few provisions that govern cyberbullying, and Section 223 of Communication and Multimedia Act is one of it.
I think enforcement, I don't see any problem with that. You see how effective is the multimedia MCMC, and then the cybersecurity Malaysia, and also the police. They have a special unit dealing with cyber crimes and cyber issues. So enforcement wise, yes, I think they are quite effective. But one thing is, they are perceived as to be selective. Right? If you look at the case of Ratu Naga, people who make statements against some royalties or some leaders, and then there are things where people say, look, these are selected prosecution. But whether this is really selected prosecution or because these are the cases which happen to exist and they happen to be high profile, right? So I think, yeah, enforcement is good. Maybe they need to be a bit step up if there needs to be improved. But then they have to address the perception that these are there are some kind of selective prosecution.
Even though there are a few statutes regarding cyber law in Malaysia, there are still no specific laws that govern on cyberbullying, and it is not that effective.
Okay, cybercrime. Cybercrime. What are the examples of cybercrime? Hate speech.
Perhaps hate speech, fake news.
Fake news. Okay, they have addressed fake news. Now, hate speech is not just cyber law. Let's do this. Take one step back. There are crimes or offences taking place in the cyberspace, but it does not mean that you need a cyber law. You can use the existing law, general law, to address offences and crimes taking place in cyberspace. Say for example hate speech, you can still use Seditions Act, you can still use the criminal defamation offence under the penal code. So these are still, there are still room to use this kind of existing law to address the issues. And say the issue of okay, but there are certain issues which are not able to be addressed by existing system. Say for example, if you have people raising money or cheating through the cyberspace, you can have the penal provision on cheating, but at the same time, whether this actually fits the current situation in order to prove the offence, to bring in witnesses. Witnesses can be somewhere else. The offence can take place across the border. So it's not purely Malaysian situation. So you can have like someone who's based in, say in the case of Macau scam.
Macau.
Yeah, they are based. Okay, most of Macau scam happens in Malaysia because it's taken in Malaysia. But see, really, if the call comes from Macau and someone lose money in Malaysia, how do you enforce it across international boundaries? Because cyberspace doesn't know national boundaries. So this is a big challenge because legislation and laws are still very much within the national realm, right? And it's still very much within the scope of the sovereignty of the nation. But these are non-state actors, they do things across the boundaries, so it's very difficult.
The crimes that happen in cyberspace is too wide to be detected. This is due to data privacy policy imposed by the web server. This has raised one of the most important questions. Which one would prevail? Data safety or data privacy?
I think even if without cyber, there used to be espionage. People leak information to other countries, but seldom the information are leaked in a very random and in a mass, in a very large amount, right, and to the public. So what Julian Assange and Snowden have been doing is basically breaching information, breaching the secret law or law on official secrets in certain countries, and they have been facilitated by the cyber space to allow them to expose all those information. But fundamentally, it's the same, meaning that these leaks have taken place for many years, even before the existence of cyberspace. So, for me, this can be addressed through the normal channel without having to go through cyber law.